picture above, if we take P and multiply it by Q, it will be closest to which of the points? Well, so we have something that's approximately minus 2 and approximately 2 multiplied together will be something that is somewhere in the neighborhood of minus 4. Now note that this value here is a little bit less than 2, and this one is also a little bit less than 2. So it's probably going to be somewhere along the lines of like minus 3 or 3.5. Either way, here it would look like we're at about 1.5. This looks like it's about 1.5. And so, since we're kind of in this neighborhood of the 3s and 4s, A is the only one that even approaches that negative. P is not on the list. B here is well less than that, so this is the answer. Okay, so they want xy. So really what we need to do is solve for x on this side, solve for y on that side, multiply them together. So x divided by 8 equals 5z, which means that x equals 8 times 5 is 40z. 5y equals 1 over 2z. Okay, so y is going to be 1 over 10z. Multiply the two together, you have 40z times 1 over 10z. Z's cancel, zeros cancel, so you end up with just 4. If you take p and divide it by 7, you're going to get some number x, remainder 2. So what they want is for one of these other expressions here divided by 7 to equal some other number y, remainder 4. Okay, so if you were to take this original number and add 2 to it, that would add 2 to your remainder. Or if you added 9 to it, that would also add 2 to the remainder, because 7 out of those can then go into making this guy be x plus 1, and you'd still end up with the remainder of 2. But either way, p plus 2 is right here. Alright, salary growth at Acme. Which of the following graphs represents the information in the table above? Okay. A couple things I like to look at here is all of these are increasing. These two here increase by 1,000. This here increases by 3. This increases by 6. And this increases by 9. Okay. So for each year, you don't get a constant amount of change, which means that it's not a straight line. Right, so this is not it. Each year you are increasing. This one here is decreasing over the years, so that's not the answer. Each year you're getting a bigger raise. This right here, each year you would be getting less of a raise. You'd be tapering off. This one here is the answer. It starts kind of shallow, but then it gets steeper, right, because you're increasing in raise amount. This one here, to just finish it off, means that you are increasing in salary, but at some point you begin to actually lose salary. So that is also not the answer, but D is. $400,000 $400 are invested at a yearly simple interest rate of X%. If at the end of 1 year the investment had grown to $500, what is the value of X? Okay, this is a simple percentage problem. You start with percentage. I always like to use the formula if you have your starting value times your percentage equals your final value. Okay, your starting value is 400 times some percentage equals 500. Okay, so what that means, the percentage is going to be 500 divided by 4, which is 1.25. And because we have 1 plus 1/4. Right, if we get rid of those zeros, simplify this as a fraction, 1 1/4, which means we have 25%. In the figure above, which of the following line segments not shown has a slope of -3? Okay, so we're looking for a pair of points that will drop 3, will go down 3 for every 1 over. Okay, so this one here is not going to be it, dA, because, well, at least not in that direction because it's going up. Also we have 1, 2, 3, 4 per 1. Here we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, but we're going over a bunch. This one here goes down by 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 over, which means EB is the answer. Alright, and in parking lot, 3/4 of the vehicles is cars, and 1/3 of cars are greater than 3 years, and that number is equal to 20. Right, there are 20 cars in the lot greater than 3 years old. Okay, so the cars total is going to be 60. Right? 1/3 of them are more than 20 years old, the other ones are younger. Okay, so if 3/4 of the vehicles is cars and there are 60 cars, we have V equals 4 times 60 divided by 3. Okay, so here that becomes a 2. 2 times 4 is 80, meaning that we have 80 vehicles. Alright, what's the average arithmetic mean of 8 consecutive odd integers? Okay, and if the smallest of those integers is n. So we have n plus 2. Right, the first one is odd. To make the next one odd, you have to add 2. Plus n plus 4 plus n plus 6. So that's 4 of them. We have 4 more. So n plus 8, 10, 12, 14. Okay. As we average them, we're going to have 8n plus 10, 20, 30, 42, 56. Okay. All that divided by 8. 8 cancels here, and 7 times 8 is 56. So the average is n plus 7. If n is an integer, which of the following must be a positive even integer? For w to the fourth to be positive, you need at least one, so w to the fourth. To get an even number, you need to have at least one of these to be even, right, in order to make this whole thing here even. But they didn't tell you that it is a even or odd integer. So say that it was 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 9 is 81. I believe odd times odd is odd. And even times anything is even. Okay, so that one's out. This one here is kind of the same. If w were to be an odd, subtracting 2 would keep it odd, and then taking that to the third power doesn't make it positive even. Here, however, also another rule, they didn't tell you that it is positive or negative. So if you have a negative times a positive, you end up with a negative, right? So here, if w were negative, then this whole thing would be negative, and they want positive, so that one's out. So for the same reasons here, this guy is out. Here we have both an even number that we're multiplying by, and we're squaring it, so it's guaranteed to be positive, which makes C here the answer. Alright, in the circle above, which is not to scale, so we cannot assume that this here is going to be a right angle. So W is at the center of the circle, so that means that this here is going to be equal to that. That's supposed to be an A. And the length of YZ is 8. The area of the circle is 64 pi. What's the value of x? Okay, so if we have an area which is going to be pi times r squared equals 64 pi, okay, cancel those out, r equals 8. Okay, so we have 8 and 8. Alright, so what that means is we have a equilateral triangle, 8, 8, and 8, which means that each of these angles here is going to be even at a 60 degrees. Because we have the interiors here is 180 divided by 3. 3 times 60 is 180, or if you just happen to know that equilateral triangles have 60 degrees inside.